What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to you guys with Mike. I'm Aaron, joined by William. We're back. It's been a while. Yeah.
Tied up by Green. Throws it back up top. James puts up the three. Oh, it's good! LeBron James from downtown.
I'm going to start off by saying it is good to be back. For those of you who did miss me, probably a small few out there, I was away playing football at the University of Laverne, but happily I'm back here at 3 Guys on Mike. And that's enough of that. Let's get into some football here, guys. So first things first, guys, the NFC playoff picture, right? Those of the viewers that don't know, both their teams are in the NFC East, right? So there's a chance, both your teams could be in the playoffs. One of you is going to win the division, right? Well, let me get your take. Who's going to win this NFC East?
I think right now it's safe to say the Cowboys are going to win this division. I think when they have the majority of their division games going on for the rest of the season. But looking at, I think the real race is who's going to be in second place, who's going to make that wild card spot. Yes. And right now the Washington football team is the front runner to make that spot because they have the most consistent quarterback play. Their defense has stepped up tremendously considering that they lost 2 key defensive players in the past few months. So I think that it's really good to see how they're coming together later on in the year. But for the Eagles, I think the Eagles, as we know, they have the easiest schedule remaining, right?
Yes.
In that division and the whole NFL. But I'm just not too bought in because of their first-year head coach. I feel like that's still a lot of room to slip up. I think their defense has been up and down this year. I think their defensive line is kind of the bright spot of this team, but they haven't been performing like that all year. They'll be the bright spot, and then they'll come down again. And I think the offensive line is what's carrying this team so far. I think when Jordan Howard comes back, I think that gives you a better chance to win. But again, you have to win these games. It doesn't matter if you have the easier schedule, you still have to win.
Now here on the opposite side of the spectrum here, Limon, you're a Cowboys fan, right? So your team is obviously the clear-cut winner for this division, right? Let me hear your thoughts on how you think the season went, or who you think's going to win the wild card in your team, right? Do you have the Eagles as a wild card?
I actually do have the Eagles as a wild card.
Okay.
Here's why. I haven't seen a game like this in the division where it's been a three-team race like this. So if the Cowboys win, obviously Willie's rooting for us, a whole bunch of Philly fans are. If they win, I think we don't lose another division game this year. But if the last game in Philly, right, somehow we might lose to Arizona, right? I'm not guaranteeing that win. But I don't see us losing to Washington or the Giants again. So if that happens and we rest our starters week 18, it's just all going to end up on how, like you were saying, how Philly plays it out. Yeah. Because I don't see Washington football team, I don't see them riding this out, honestly. I don't see them making it to the playoffs. Last year, I think they got a little, it's going to sound salty, but I think they got a little lucky getting in at 7-9. And yes, they did give the Bucs a run for their money, but this year I'd rather see us and Philly in the playoffs.
Okay, yeah.
What about you? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'll just keep it simple here. Little man, just so you're aware, the Cowboys still have to play the Washington football team twice, right? Twice. I believe the Washington football team have the hot hand right now. They're fun to watch. They're primetime football. It's a guy you want to root for, Taylor Heineke, right?
Yeah.
You want to root for that guy.
Yeah, baller.
Comparing the defenses, right? Washington football team has 11 interceptions to the Cowboys 9. They have 24 sacks to your 26. Right? You guys are on par for each other. However, the records aren't all there. I still believe Taylor Heineke gives you something you need. You know what I mean? He's the Taysom Hill effect, right? He's gonna run head first and try to deliver a blow on somebody, right?
Better passer.
Yeah, like he's somebody you want to play. You want to play for, okay? I do have the Cowboys winning. I have the Washington football team being the wild card in this division. Moving on, guys. AFC West, right? Flipping it here to a division that. Opposite side of the spectrum, right? A really good division, right?
Yeah.
You had an undefeated Raiders team there, right? You had a Chiefs team that was struggling as blowing the wheels off everybody, right? You have a young, powerful Chargers team, right? A lot of controversy there. I'm gonna start off by saying who I think is gonna win division, right? And a lot of you want to agree with this one. A lot of you listening at home want to agree. I have the Chargers winning this division. I have the Chargers winning this division, and I have the wild card being the Chiefs, right? It might come as a shock to many, but yes, the Chiefs have a better record than the Chargers right now. The Chargers are 7-5. The Chiefs are 8-4. I understand that. I'll give you this: the Chiefs' big three is better than the Chargers' big three. I'll give you that. Their big three is better, right? Yeah. I'll give you that. However, when you dive into it, Mahomes is a turnover machine this year. He has 12 interceptions and he's fumbled the ball twice. Lost both of them. Okay, turnover machine. That's something that hasn't happened in the past for Mahomes, right?
That's true.
So I think Mahomes is having to play. The Chiefs never really have to play from behind. But this year they're playing from behind more than they ever have. And granted, yes, majority of the games they win. Yeah. However, it is a different league, I believe. Now Herbert has only thrown, compared to two quarterbacks, Herbert and Mahomes, right? Herbert's only thrown more yards and more touchdowns with less interceptions and no fumbles, right? Comparing the two, right? People, they act like Mahomes is the best quarterback. I don't believe right now Mahomes is the clear-cut best quarterback in that division.
I agree.
I go pound for pound Herbert with him. The Chargers defense has 7 more sacks than this Chiefs defense. And let's not forget, guys, in the playoffs last year, the Chiefs fell apart because of their O-line play. Now they went out and signed a bunch of key pieces, and they got they got Thuney from the Patriots, right? Yeah, of course, right? However, it's the pieces aren't all sliding together.
That's true.
They're struggling on defense. Yes, I understand. In recent weeks, their quarterbacks have been playing better, but it's been subpar defense. I believe if they go, the best way a coach once said this to me, the best way to beat the best offense is to keep them on the sidelines, right? Keep them on the sidelines. I believe this Chiefs team is not going to have many opportunities this coming playoffs, right? And the wild card, they're going to get a tough matchup. But for me, that's my opinion on this AFC West. Wooly?
In the wild card?
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that, honestly. And looking at it, this week is going to be very big because, as we know, the Chiefs do play the Raiders, which is a huge division game. The Raiders are in the mix for it as well. And then following on a Thursday night game, they have to travel to LA to play the Chargers. So I think that game is going to be the game that decides that division. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. The Chiefs haven't been the same, but they are still finding ways to win games. I think with the Chargers, I've been harping on it all year. They need to find a way to win close games, and they haven't played a full, complete 60 minutes of football for me. Last week against Cincinnati, they looked great. And then Cincinnati scored 22 unanswered points. Kind of had me worrying a little bit, but then Herbert kind of got the offense going again.
Yeah.
And this offensive line for the Chargers hasn't played that well either. They started off the year very well, and then I think allowed 4 sacks last week to the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think it is going to be very, very close. I'm just going to give the Chiefs the edge because they have the head coaching advantage. And I do agree Mahomes isn't playing like the clear-cut favorite in this division, but I'm still giving him the edge because I think he has the it factor. He's been there before. He's in his 5th year, I believe. So I think that they're going to have the advantage, but I think the Chargers are right there.
Yeah, I agree too. I think a first-year head coach, Brandon Staley, I don't think he outcoaches Andy Reid at all.
No.
I mean, the Chiefs are obviously on fire, and we've said this year in, year out. At least I've noticed it. I think Willie has too. This Chiefs defense for the first 8 games is horrible, right?
Yeah.
A lot of big plays. And then the next 8 games, once I watched that Cowboy game, I knew it was a trap game. I knew the Chiefs were going to turn it around because of the way their defense was playing. Everyone on the headlines was going after him, how bad they were playing, how bad Mahomes was. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mahomes hasn't been playing spectacular at all, but it's just the defense. And at some point, Mahomes is going to start clicking again. Damn, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, who hasn't had... He's having a good year, but it just seems like he's out of it mentally.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I do have the Chiefs winning this division. And at the end of the day, I also have them in the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Oh, God, that's a touchy subject for him. But let's also not forget that the Raiders the Raiders are still in the mix. I think that they've dropped a few games that they could have won. But, I mean, statistically, they're still in the mix.
Yeah.
So I think that they still dropped some games they could have won. But I think that the Raiders just need to... It's hard. I understand
Is it fair to say that the Broncos have a better chance to make the playoffs than the Raiders?
No.
Because... No. They still have to play each other again. I think they have the better quarterback.
And Las Vegas, too.
Yeah, so I just think that the Raiders is still in the mix to make the wild card. Don't get me wrong, they're still right there. For the division, it's going to be hard. They have to play against 2 teams that I believe are better than them.
Okay. Interesting matchup this week, right? NFC versus AFC, right?
Yeah.
Bills versus Bucks. You know what I mean? Big game, right? Bills are sitting at 7-5. Bucks obviously 9-3, right?
Yeah.
Bucks having a phenomenal season again. Brady's having a phenomenal season again. He's throwing 34 touchdowns, 10 receptions, right? He's just airing the ball out. Granted, as he should, as he has, a blank check for his roster, right? Anybody he wants. And the best part is Antonio Brown hasn't played in weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still gonna come back, right? Now here's where it gets interesting. Now, in the Bucks they lost to the Rams. And they lost to Taylor Heineke. They lost to the Washington football team, right? I'm only gonna mention these 2 losses, right? So because they lost to the Saints too, right?
Yeah.
But so when you talk about the Rams and Washington football team, right? What separates them? For me, we thought this phrase is like the guys just make plays happen, right? They call them the magic men, right? I believe Matthew Stafford, that's a magic man. All his time in Detroit Lions, right, running around for his life, making plays, you know what I mean? That's a magic man. Taylor Heineke, you know what I mean? He's a guy that makes stuff happen, right? He like similar I used to say Russell Wilson, right? They just make plays happen.
Yeah.
Now, enter Josh Allen, a guy who makes things happen. Okay, you want to know what separates Josh Allen from every other quarterback out there? He's 6'5", 240. That's what separates him from every other quarterback out there. Okay, I understand this is a very talented Bucs defense, but they struggle against an elusive quarterback who makes plays, and that is pound for pound what Josh Allen is.
Now, just remember his TikToks, right?
Now, I'm not gonna say who's gonna win this game, a clear-cut winner. However, I would not be surprised if the game is late in the fourth quarter and Josh Allen wins on a game-winning drive. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be within a score of the entire game. That's what I firmly believe. And let's not forget, the Bills' defense was on par to be the number one defense in this league. They were at one point.
Yeah.
They've fallen off in the past 2 weeks. However, they were scheduled to be one of the best defenses, one of the best offenses. Now they're both lacking, but I believe this is a big bounce-back game for them.
You go here.
I know, I like that take. I really do. Last week they had to deal with the win. Obviously, this week in Tampa, it's just going to be the Heat. But I think Josh Allen, last time we played in the Heat, he played in Jacksonville. We all know what happened there. But I think this is a bounce-back game for him. And I think it is safe to say it's a clear-cut winner. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think the Bills are going to win this game simply because they need to. And I think Stephon Diggs is going to play pissed off. I think Josh Allen's going to be pissed off. And that whole defense is going to be pissed off. But one key thing is, remember, they lost Trey White. So ACL injury, right? But then again, that's just next man up. And I think the Bills have that mentality. I think Bills Mafia is going to go into Tampa Bay and win.
Okay. Willie?
I like my take. I like your take as well. I agree with both of you guys in some aspects. But looking at this Bills team, I said this when they were about to play the Colts. I said the Bills have not won a close game this year. Every game they've won has been comfortable in the fourth quarter. But when it comes to the other team being close, they kind of don't perform. And I think that same thing as last Monday night. There was a really close game. The Bills had 2 opportunities to score in the fourth quarter. They didn't get it done. Again, they were playing against a great defense. But I think that this week, when you're going against King Clutch, Tom Brady, who is known for making all these clutch plays, and I think Josh Allen hasn't performed that well when it comes to being in the clutch. And he also has been up and down when it comes to his the way he throws picks, the way he throws touchdowns.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I just think that the Bucs defense hasn't been the same this year. And again, it was the same thing last year. We were saying they haven't performed the way we thought. And I think the big thing with the Bucs when it comes to a playoff run again this year, the whole thing about that playoff run last year was that the Bucs defense was playing great. Tom Brady got a lot of the credit, and again, he deserved it. But they held Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees in check, and they were making a lot of plays in those games. So I think that this year they have to do it again. And I think that right now the Bucs defense isn't playing that well. I'm going to go with the Bucs though. They're at home. Josh Allen hasn't been playing as we thought he would before the season, so I'm going to go with the Bucs.
Okay, fair. Moving on to our last segment here, guys. Last night, we're recording this Friday morning. Last night we had the Vikings prime time. Congratulations to Kirk Cousins, by the way. Kirk Cousins won a prime time game versus the Steelers, right? A game was 29-0 at one point. Ended up being 36-28, I believe.
Yeah. Right?
8-point game. However, I'm going to say this, right? Phenomenal game of the Vikings. I started down clicking fantasy. I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
5th place, by the way, climbing. Ben Roethlisberger should only be able to play fourth quarters from now on. Just plug him in the fourth quarter. Big Ben's numbers in the fourth quarter, he threw 3 passing touchdowns. Yeah. And his pass came alone in the fourth quarter. I'll tell you right now, if not for Chase Claypool selling the game, an absurd 2K celebration, I don't know what he was doing. But Chase Claypool, those of you watching the game, he sold the game completely when they were trying to spike the ball, right?
He did it twice.
Yes. Phenomenal one by the Vikings. I think Big Ben is just, you watching him out there, takes too many hits. Doesn't really have that elusive. He never had that elusive ability. It's
now he goes down.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly feel bad for the guy. I think he tries really hard. He is passionate. You see his face, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a mutual agreement. He goes out and says, "Oh, it's my last year for the Steelers." It's time's up.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Big Ben, obviously it's just age is getting to him, as you can see it. Last night though, I think it was a really good run for the Steelers, even though they didn't get the win. I thought it was really good to see your offense kind of clicking together after scoring nothing in the first half. So, but my biggest thing is Chase Claypool, right? As you touched on it, Chase Claypool had a boneheaded mistake. He converts the 4th down with about 35 seconds left.
Yeah, it was like 36.
And he starts celebrating. The center is trying to get the ball from him,
And he
fumbled the ball. And again, I understand the center is kind of at fault when you look at it because he's the one who grabbed the ball and then it went rolling. But he was trying to do the right thing and trying to get you in the huddle, trying to get you lined up so that they could spike the ball. He wasted about 6 seconds with that. And my biggest problem isn't necessarily that what happened on the field, but what he said in the press conference. He was saying that he was doing his thing of celebrating whatever it kind of had that it kind of gave off like that mentality that he doesn't really care.
Yeah,
and it was
100%.
That it was everyone else's fault but him. And I feel like he was trying to say that he would have gotten off his celebration, everything would have been fine. They still would have spiked the ball, but that's not the point here. And again, I've seen people point this out numerous times on Twitter, on ESPN, and I thought about it at the exact same time. Larry Fitzgerald is one of the best players when it comes to a late game, and you need a spike. He sprints to the line, gives the ref the football. He doesn't take a knee. He doesn't like sit around trying to point for first down. And obviously, he doesn't blame his own teammate for trying to help him with that. So I think that that's kind of a thing with the Steelers culture that you've seen in the past few years, kind of take a complete 180. Steelers used to be, blue collar team, kind of just pound the football. You had Big Ben, who's just a physical quarterback, and now it's kind of, I don't want to label it as this, but kind of TikTok. You just have a bunch of these receivers, same thing as last year. These receivers were all on TikTok. They were making a bunch of dance videos, and I don't think that's necessarily the main problem for this team. But I think that when everything's going wrong, that's what everyone's going to point at. So I think they need to correct that. They're still young, but I think it just sucks for them. The Vikings kind of have to watch out a little bit. You did lose a few games in the past few months that, again, to the Lions, to the 49ers, some games that you could have won. You just didn't really perform later on in the game. I think this was kind of going that same route. You were kind of letting the Steelers come back on you. If it wasn't for a drop touchdown in the 4th quarter, it could have maybe gone into overtime. You don't know what happened. Okay. Well, what could have happened? So I think the Vikings, they're also in the playoff hunt. I think that they're out of it for me because I think the games that they could have won, the games that they should have won, they're not winning. I think that's what you need when it comes down to later on in the year. But it was a very entertaining game for the last hour or so of the game. What about you, Lamar?
Yeah, obviously Chase Claypool deserves a sell of the week on TikTok. If you want to post that. But,
It'll be up.
Here's my thing with the Steelers. I think actually the attitude of this team is a big problem. I think it's why they lost last year. I think it's why they got embarrassed by the Browns last year in the playoffs. And this year, I think it's why they're starting to struggle. I mean, they did pick it up a little bit, but you can see it's just something about this team. I don't think they're mentally there. Like, this isn't the first time Chase Claypool has done a bonehead play.
No.
Yeah.
You've all seen.
And it won't be the last.
I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago where he talked about having more music at practice, and Cam Hayward just
I saw that,
went off about it. The TikToks last year saying the Browns are going to get blown out by the Chiefs in that playoff game. I just think it's about the young guys on this team and the veterans stepping up and giving them a little smack on the behind. You know what I mean?
On the
and I think
in the head.
Anywhere they want. But next year, once Big Ben leaves, I think it just has to be a rebuild year. I don't know if they're gonna move off of Mike Tomlin. I think he'll stay there. Honestly, I think he's a perfect fit. But I think he's another guy I gotta put my finger out when it comes to attitude and stuff like that. I think he's gotta step up and be a leader.
I mean, I don't know. I think the Steelers are like really well coached, but also really immature at the same time.
Exactly.
It's really weird to see it. But yeah, I like how you pointed out the vets have to take a stand on this team, and they have to understand where you're at in this division, where you're at in the playoff race, and those mistakes can't happen. And again, Chase Claypool made I think he got a taunting penalty early on in the game.
He did. He pushed us on it.
Yeah, so it isn't like this is just a one-time thing in that game. And again, I don't think Chase Claypool, that's gonna be the last mistake he makes.
You messed up bad when you have such a great game and making all these spectacular catches.
And that's what they talk about.
And what they talk about is your bonehead play.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Anything else before we close out?
There you go.
One last thing, guys, before we go. Last night. Two more things. Demaryius Thomas sadly passed away last night at the ripe age of 33 years old, and just sad to see a loss of life. We'll remember him by his plays, by his charity, what he did for the city of Denver.
Yeah.
Truly a great guy, and we don't know what happened, but we just our prayers are with his family, with his friends, anybody who knew him or was close with him.
Yeah. It sucks because that was a player that I grew up watching.
Yeah.
As we know, he's responsible for one of the most famous plays, most iconic plays in NFL history with the overtime touchdown against the Steelers.
I feel like in America, if I'm being honest.
I could agree with that, but it just sucks to see. He was always smiling. I think that's the biggest thing about him and about his character was just his smile. It kind of drew everyone towards him. And again, we don't know him at all, but just seeing him through the TV as little kids, you know, that kind of just it kind of rubs off on us in a good way, and it just sucks. And everyone had high praises for him. It sucks to hear this sad news. But you were.
Yeah, condolences go out to his family. Very sad. You know, growing up a huge football fan and seeing the emergence of the Broncos throughout those years.
Yeah.
He was one of the players he caught my eye instantly. His playmaking, like you said, his attitude. He was always smiling, even through the bad, even always through the good. It's just sad to see.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of 3 Guys on Mic. It was an honor, guys, to be back, and I'm going to be back for a while now. But let us know down below in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Tell a friend about us, guys. Anything you think we can do better on, if you agree with us, you disagree with us, guys, let us know down in the comments. We respond to every single comment, guys. We appreciate every single one of you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.